Previously on Balls.
Hasn't reached yet.
They did do a song. One of their big hits was called Australia, and they were singing it with gusto, so you'd imagine they would be. Anyway, where are you now?
Well, I'm actually on a game drive at Rhino's Lodge at the moment. Rhino River Lodge, sorry.
Geez, this is when we need you on Skype.
Yes, I know. Well, I'll tell you what happened yesterday. We actually had our drink break with Jason, who's the driver. The ranger, and we decided to have a bit of a drink. And I sort of looked around and I saw 3 lions looking at us. And I said, Jason, there's 3 lions looking at us. And he was talking to my wife, Lara, blah, blah, blah. I said, Jason, there's 3 lions over there. And actually what he actually said, but we slowly moved into the car.
Oh, you were out of the vehicle?
Out of the vehicle having a drink. Yeah.
Well, you should know that the lions aren't very dangerous at the moment, David, so I shouldn't have worried you too much.
They were just looking at us, just studying us, and I said, I'm not as quick as I used to be, obviously. But I got there. We got there safely.
Yeah, well, you would have tested that sidestep of yours, or that goose step for that matter.
No, it wasn't that far from the van, I tell you.
I tell you, that would have had a lot of views on YouTube. David Campese, one last run, running past 3 lions.
No, well, the thing is, you wouldn't see it that quickly. You wouldn't see any footage at all.
Yeah, that's how quick you are.
That's right.
All right, well, look, we're not going to keep you too long, because have you stopped? Are you on your drive? Are you sitting having a little glass of wine as we talk to you?
No, we just had a glass of wine. We're just looking at some ostriches at the moment.
Okay. Where's this lodge again?
It's about 2.5 hours outside Durban. It's Rhino River Lodge.
Rhino River Lodge.
Yes, across from Zululand, across from Tunda.
Okay, Tunda, yeah. No,
yes,
it was.
It's very nice.
Very nice.
We saw everything we saw yesterday. We saw everything except the leopard and cheetah.
Fantastic. It's some of the most beautiful terrain and game parks in the world, in that part of the world. I just wish they would market it a bit more, because seriously, a lot of people think that the only game parks we got, Joe, in the Northwest Province on Mpumalanga.
No, they're very nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's briefly wrap up what happened over the weekend. 1 week to go. Today we're going to ask you, David. By the way, a round of applause for you. Yay. The only person to get all 7 predictions correct.
Oh, there we go. That's not a bad guess, was it?
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
That's
David.
why you get paid the huge bucks.
Well, I did get the one that Darren said guess was in the studio, and I did get it right, so I doubled my fee today, so I had to get something right, didn't I?
Yes, absolutely. And also, I thought damn good job on the commentary over the weekend. Very, I think you add a lot to the commentary, so just our little 5 cents worth there.
And the camera likes you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Oh, flat, looking so good.
Yeah. You know, the nice thing about it is when you give David Campese a little bit of time to actually say something, what a difference it makes. So on Saturdays, at least you get a bit of time to give an opinion.
What are you talking about? We give him a half-an-hour rant here.
No, but now and again, no, not here. Talking about in other areas. Sometimes he's like got literally 10 seconds.
It's difficult. You've got to try and get your view across in a very short space of time. But as Darren knows, you get used to it after a while. The best thing is not much at all.
Yeah. All right, so now, having seen what's happened over the last weekend, we did speak to Alistair Coetzee a little earlier on, and my question to him was, are the Stormers losing a bit of shape in some areas of their game, because they just don't look as scary as they did in the earlier part of Super Rugby. Do you agree?
Yeah, look, I think the problem is that if you look at the weekend, even though it was quite bizarre, the Reds as well. I mean, they didn't even look like they wanted to get 5 tries. They were quite happy with the victory. Now, the Stormers, if they actually got 5 points, and then 5 points next week, they'd actually win the competition if the Chiefs lost. So why wouldn't you try and go for 4 tries? But the problem was they are struggling to score tries. I did speak to one of the officials, I won't mention names, and basically he said the Stars decided we're going to go a defensive route. And you can see that. They'd rather defend than actually try and score the tries. But it's like the Bulls on Saturday night. Once you get behind, Friday night, so once you get behind the Bulls, they throw the ball around. The skill factor is not good enough to try and catch up. And I think the Stormers are the same. Once they're behind, they're going to struggle. If they come against the Crusaders and they're 15 behind, they can't score tries, and that's going to be their downfall.
So they have to play catch up. It could be look. I mean, as I said, they're not kicking themselves or beating themselves over the head about it. But their defence has been the key for them. They scored the least amount of tries, but they still win the conference. So clearly their defence has been there. But that is the key. If they do have to play catch up rugby, they've got the players to do it. Though it's just that they're not doing it at the moment.
Yeah, they struggle. They've got some really good players, but they don't seem to gel pretty well. Brian's on the wing. He very rarely gets the ball, but as I mentioned on TV, Apollon is wasted on the wing. He needs to be back at fullback. Even if you put Peterson on the wing, you need someone who's going to upset the opposition when they kick the ball away. And there was a lot of kicking on Bloom on Saturday, I must admit. The weather wasn't great, but I mean the teams played very well in the conditions. But the Cheetahs wanted it more, and you can see the Stormers were quite happy just to kick the ball away and try and get a penalty here and there. What's going to be in their favour is obviously the referees are so unpredictable in the 22s that they put pressure on, and the opposition give penalties away. You kick goals. That's how you get in front, and I think that's what the Stormers are hoping for as it carries on in the competition.
I'd like to ask David. We did the predictions last week, and you were one of the few people that called the Bulls to win. They didn't only
Sharks to win.
The Sharks to win. The Bulls didn't only lose to the Sharks; they got thumped. What do you think? What do you think went wrong there?
Or what went right?
Yeah, well, the thing was, I think the Sharks were hungrier. You can see that by the way they played. The Bulls didn't look like they turned up. Speaks had an absolute shocker, I must admit, watching him. He dropped every ball. They didn't seem to have that hunger. I actually thought it was going to be a lot easier than what it was.
Especially with all those injuries, yeah.
Yeah, with the injuries, but the Sharks came out and just absolutely belted them. Francis Dane played a big role because just his presence made a difference. Michelak did very well. But, the unfortunate thing for the Sharks is they've only got Stain for another week. Then he can't play in the semis. So they'll get there, and then they've got to have to find someone to put in there. And that's going to be the problem for them. But the Bulls did struggle.
Yeah.
And, they just didn't seem to... The Sharks just defended again. Defences seem to be winning a lot of games, but the Bulls do struggle under pressure. And on Friday night, you saw that they tried to catch up rugby, but they couldn't score because they just didn't have the players or the skills to do that.
And Plum said it to us last week, I think, when we spoke to him, or I think we saw him at the golf event, and he made the point. He said it's just a case of when the Sharks can put it together, they can be devastating. No one can beat them on their day. But the problem is, can the Sharks put days like that together for another 3 weeks or 4 weeks to go and win the thing? What we've seen is now and again the stuff that they try and they play risk and reward rugby. Sometimes it goes right, sometimes it doesn't quite work out, and that's when they find themselves in a little bit of trouble. Do you see them now sort of building off that platform and doing the same thing for the next 3-4 weeks?
Well, it's hard, Darren, because when you play the Bulls, everybody wants to smash the Bulls because they've done it so many times to the Sharks and the other teams in South Africa. I think the biggest concern is that where do the Sharks have to go to play? If they've got to go overseas, they're going to struggle because, travelling in 1 week is not a great occasion or situation for them. This week, obviously, they've got the Cheetahs. The Cheetahs can play some really good rugby, I'll get you. But again, Ryan Campese played a fantastic game on Friday, and the Sharks let him go to Japan. I don't understand. You've got such good players that they just let them go willy-nilly. You've got to keep these players because they've got back row work. I don't know. The back row worked fantastic well for the Sharks Friday night. And that's going to be a key performance. Then they've got Alberts to come back, and they've got Lambie. Again, have they got that hunger week in, week out? And that's the concern. Everybody wants to play well with the Bulls because they're the Bulls. You respect them by belting them. But every other game now, they've got to stand up another 10%, 20% to beat the opposition. Can they do that? I'm not really sure. A few injuries, and I think like every team, they're going to struggle.
Still, you're in a nice position though when you are in the point where you can actually bring a guy like Jean Daisel on when you need to, and you're sort of well ahead. It must be demoralising for another team when players like that are coming off the bench. Obviously, the injuries are going to be a big thing, but they'll be hoping they can get Lambie and Alberts back as soon as possible. David, before we let you go, so you can go back and look at the rhinos there. Let's quickly. We're going to do it differently today. We're going to ask you to tell us your top 6, in other words, the 6 that after this week will be in the playoffs.
Well, obviously, I think the Chiefs are going to be in the playoff. The Stormers will be in the playoff. I think the Crusaders will be in the playoff. The Brumbies will have to be in the playoff. That's 4.
2 more.
Now, interesting because the Reds, again, they did like the Stormers. They didn't go for the 5 points. They were happy to win the game. So they lost to Simmons, I think, the second row as well. So they're going to struggle injury-wise, the wrong time of the year. But they are the defending champions, so they can play rugby. I think the Reds will be there. So then it's the Bulls or the Sharks, isn't it?
Yeah, and they both got games they should win this weekend.
But who's at the moment? Where the Bulls? Are they from the Sharks?
I think they are, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to go the Bulls because if the Bulls win and the Queensland Reds win, well, the Queensland's got to get 5 points.
Well, yeah, they do because the Reds are now 1 point behind the
Right.
Sharks, yeah.
So the Sharks basically have to get 5 points.
Yeah,
I can see that happening against the Chiefs. Look, I'll have to go. I think the Reds might miss out. I think the Sharks might get through.
so you're going Bulls, Sharks as your last two.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll see if you can keep your record going, David. Enjoy your time there in the game park. Enjoy your rest
No
and
problem.
stuff, and we'll catch up with you next Monday.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys. And hope you have a good afternoon.
Thanks,
Yes,
David.
David.
Appreciate it, man.
Good on
you,
Cheers,
mate.
bye. There we go. David Campese joining us for the flush out.
We the best on 3. 1, 2, 3. We the best.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on balls.co.za. Balls.co.za.